Hey everyone, welcome back to another episode of Personal Growth Talks podcast. I'm your host, Henry.
And I'm your co-host, Sarah. We're so happy you're here with us today.
Absolutely. If you're new to this podcast, this is the place where we talk about real strategies for personal growth, life success, and building habits that actually work. And the best part?
We keep it simple, clear, and friendly, especially for our amazing listeners who are also learning English.
That's right. So today's topic is a big one. It's something that shows up in every success story, whether you're building a business, writing a book, or learning a new language.
Yes, today we're talking about self-discipline and not the boring kind. We're going to break it down, keep it real, and help you see how this one skill can seriously change your life.
Quick question for you, Sarah. Be honest, have you ever struggled with self-discipline?
Oh, 100%. I think everyone has. Whether it's skipping workouts, staying up too late scrolling on your phone, or procrastinating on something important, we've all been there.
Exactly. And for our listeners, especially those working hard to improve their English self-discipline, can be the key that opens the door to progress.
So, if you've ever asked yourself, why can't I stay focused? Or, how do I stop quitting halfway? This episode is for you.
We're going to explore what self-discipline really is, why it matters so much for success, and how you can start building it step by step.
So grab a notebook, get comfortable, and let's dive in.
All right, let's get started. So, Sarah, what exactly is self-discipline?
Good question. Self-discipline is the ability to do what you need to do even when you don't feel like it.
Yes, it's kind of like having an inner coach that says, hey, I know you're tired, but let's just do this one thing. It's choosing long-term growth over short-term comfort.
Exactly. Let's say you're learning English and you've planned to study for 30 minutes today, but then you feel lazy or distracted. Self-discipline is what helps you open your notebook anyway and just do it.
Right. It's not about being perfect. It's about showing up consistently. Even small efforts add up when you stay disciplined.
Some people confuse self-discipline with motivation, but they're not the same thing.
Oh yeah, this is important. Motivation is a feeling. It comes and goes. But self-discipline is a decision.
Let me give you an example. Imagine you want to go for a run. If you're feeling motivated, it's easy you're excited. But what happens on the days when you're tired or it's raining?
That's where self-discipline kicks in. You might say, I'll just run for 10 minutes, and that's enough to keep the habit alive.
I love that. And you know what? The more you practice self-discipline, the stronger it becomes. Like a muscle.
That's a great way to put it. Think of it like going to the gym for your brain. Every time you choose discipline over distraction, you're doing a rep.
And here's a quick way to remember the difference. Motivation is doing something because you want to. Self-discipline is doing it because you need to.
That's so simple and powerful. Let's make it even more real. Who's someone that comes to mind when you think of self-discipline?
I'd say someone like Serena Williams. She's not just talented, she's incredibly disciplined. She trains daily, watches her diet, works on her mindset. That's what makes her great.
Totally. Or someone like J.K. Rowling. She didn't write Harry Potter in one weekend. It took years of consistent effort, even when she was rejected by publishers.
The point is, discipline isn't just for athletes or writers. It's for all of us. If you're learning English, starting a business, or trying to wake up earlier, you can benefit from it
So to summarize, self-discipline means taking action even when you don't feel like it. It's more reliable than motivation. And it's something you can build, one small choice at a time.
Well said. And coming up next, we'll talk about why self-discipline is so important if you truly want to succeed.
Let's go there. Okay, so we now understand what self-discipline is. But let's go deeper. Why is it such a big deal when it comes to success?
Great question. And I think the short answer is because self-discipline helps you do hard things, and most things that lead to success aren't always easy.
Exactly. Success isn't just about talent or luck. It's about doing the work, especially when nobody's watching, and especially when it's uncomfortable.
Let's take an example. Imagine someone who wants to start a YouTube channel. They're creative and have great ideas, but if they never sit down to plan, record, and edit videos regularly, what happens?
Nothing. Ideas don't mean much without follow-through. And follow-through takes discipline, consistency.
Same with learning English. You can have all the books, the apps, the videos, but if you don't use them regularly, you won't grow.
Let me ask you, Sarah, do you think successful people are always more talented?
Nope. In fact, a lot of successful people are average when they start, but they keep going. They stay disciplined when others give up.
Exactly. One of my favorite quotes is, "Discipline beats talent when talent doesn't work hard."
I love that. It's so true. You don't need to be a genius to succeed. You just need the discipline to keep showing up.
Let's bring in a few real-life examples. We already talked about Serena Williams and J.K. Rowling. Another good one? Elon Musk. He's known for working long hours and staying focused, even when things get really hard.
Yes, and think about authors like Stephen King. He writes every single day, not just when he's inspired.
So the pattern is clear. Successful people have routines, habits, and systems that keep them going, even when motivation disappears.
That's the heart of it. Self-discipline creates momentum, and momentum leads to progress, and progress leads to success.
Another key point, discipline gives you freedom. People think it's the opposite, but actually, when you control your actions, you create more freedom in your life.
Yes. Like if you're disciplined with your money, you have more financial freedom. If you're disciplined with your time, you have more time for things you love.
Same with English. If you build a strong habit of daily practice, you'll soon have the freedom to speak, travel, or even work in English-speaking environments.
So let's recap the main reasons why self-discipline is important for success. 1. It helps you do hard things consistently. 2. It turns goals into real progress. 3. It's more powerful than motivation. 4. It creates habits that build long-term success. 5. And it gives you real freedom.
That's powerful stuff. And the best part? Anyone can develop self-discipline. It's not something you're born with, it's something you practice.
Totally. And coming up next, we'll talk about some common myths around self-discipline because there are a lot of misunderstandings that stop people before they even begin.
Stick with us. This part might surprise you. All right, welcome back. So far, we've talked about what self-discipline is and why it's so important for success. But now, it's time to bust some myths.
Yes, because a lot of people think they understand self-discipline, but they're actually being held back by some really common misunderstandings.
Let's start with myth number 1. Self-discipline means being hard on yourself all the time.
This one is so common. People think being disciplined means being strict, serious, and even kind of cold. But that's not true.
Not at all. Real self-discipline is actually an act of kindness toward your future self. You're not punishing yourself. You're taking care of yourself.
Yes, it's not about yelling at yourself when you mess up. It's about gently guiding yourself back on track again and again.
Okay, myth number 2. Some people are just born with self-discipline.
Nope. Self-discipline is not a natural gift, it's a skill. And like any skill, it can be learned and practiced.
Exactly. It's like learning a language or learning to play guitar. You might not be good at it at first, but if you keep trying, you'll get better.
And remember, everyone struggles sometimes. Even super disciplined people have bad days. The difference is, they don't give up.
Love that. Now, myth number 3. If you're disciplined, you don't need rest or fun.
Totally false. Real self-discipline includes balance. It means knowing when to work, but also knowing when to rest, relax, and recharge.
Right. If you push too hard without breaks, you'll burn out. That's not discipline, that's self-damage.
Exactly. Think of discipline like driving a car. You need to press the gas, but you also need brakes. Otherwise, you'll crash.
That's such a great visual. All right, here's one more. Myth number 4. Self-discipline kills creativity.
That one always makes me laugh. Some people think structure blocks inspiration, but actually, discipline helps creativity grow.
Totally. Think about writers, musicians, or artists. They often have routines they create daily. That structure gives them space to be creative consistently.
Yes, creativity needs discipline to stay alive. Otherwise, you just wait around hoping to feel inspired and you don't get anything done.
So to sum it up, here are some myths we just busted. 1. Discipline doesn't mean being harsh. It means being consistent. 2. It's not a gift. It's a skill anyone can learn. 3. It includes balance. Rest is part of the process. And it actually supports creativity, not kills it.
If you've believed any of these myths before, don't worry, most of us have. But now that you know the truth, you can build real self-discipline with less pressure and more power.
Up next, we'll dive into something that really matters. What stops us from being disciplined in the first place?
Yes, let's talk about the blockers, because understanding the problem is the first step to solving it.
So, we've talked about what self-discipline really is, and we cleared up some common myths. But now we need to talk about the real blockers. Sarah, what do you think stops most people from staying disciplined?
Honestly, I think the first big one is procrastination. You know, that voice in your head that says, "I'll do it later."
Oh yeah, we've all heard that voice. It's sneaky, too. It tells you it's just a little break, but suddenly it's been hours, and nothing got done.
Exactly, and most of the time procrastination isn't about laziness. It's actually about fear of failure, fear of not being good enough, or even fear of starting.
That's so true. I remember putting off recording my first podcast episode because I was scared it wouldn't be perfect.
Same here, but we learn as we go, and discipline helps us take action even when fear is there.
The second big blocker I see is distraction, especially today. Phones, social media, YouTube, messages. It never ends.
Yes, and for English learners, this can be tough. You plan to watch a lesson on YouTube and somehow end up watching cat videos or movie trailers for an hour.
We've all been there. That's why creating a focused environment is so important. Turning off notifications, setting a timer, putting the phone in another room.
Exactly. A little structure can go a long way. And that brings us to another blocker: lack of clear goals.
Oh yes. If you don't know what you're working toward, it's hard to stay disciplined. You feel lost.
That's why setting clear, small goals is so helpful. For example, instead of saying I want to get better at English, say I'll study for 15 minutes every day this week.
Right. Small, specific goals help your brain know exactly what to do. And you feel a little win each time you complete it.
Another challenge is low energy. When you're tired, stressed, or overwhelmed, discipline becomes much harder.
Absolutely. That's why sleep, exercise, and nutrition actually support self-discipline. You need energy to stay focused.
So just to summarize, here are a few common things that stop us from being disciplined. 1. Procrastination, fear, hiding behind delays. 2. Distractions, too much noise, not enough focus. 3. Unclear goals. No direction means no action. 4. Low energy or stress. Your brain needs fuel to function.
And here's the good news. Every one of these can be managed. Once you know what's getting in your way, you can take steps to fix it.
That's right. And in the next part, we'll give you some real, practical habits that you can start using today to build stronger self-discipline.
Stick with us. It's going to get good. Okay, now we know what gets in the way of discipline. So, let's dive into how we can actually build it in our daily lives. Sarah, where do we start?
The first habit is creating a morning routine. If you start your day with discipline, it sets the tone for the rest of it. Even just a simple routine can work wonders.
I love this one. For me, it's as simple as drinking a glass of water, stretching for 5 minutes, and reviewing my to-do list for the day. It helps me feel more focused.
Absolutely. It doesn't need to be long or complicated. The goal is just to begin the day with intention. You're setting the foundation for everything you do afterward.
Next up, time blocking. This is a game changer. Time blocking is when you set aside specific blocks of time for specific tasks.
Right. For example, if you're learning English, set a block of 30 minutes in your calendar just for studying. During that time, you do nothing else, no checking your phone, no distractions, just focused effort.
Exactly. And it's amazing how much you can accomplish in those focused blocks of time. It's like giving your brain permission to focus deeply for a short period.
Another powerful habit is learning to say no. This is a big one. You need to protect your time and energy if you want to stay disciplined.
So true. Every yes to something is a no to something else. If you say yes to a random social event, for example, you might be saying no to time you could have spent on your goals.
That's why it's important to only say yes to things that align with your bigger goals. Saying no is an act of self-discipline.
Now, let's talk about tracking progress. This could be one of the most motivating habits you can develop.
Yes, whether you're tracking your English learning or your daily tasks, writing down your progress helps you stay accountable.
It doesn't have to be anything fancy. It could be a simple checklist or even a journal. I love checking off small wins, like today I studied English for 30 minutes, or I wrote a new podcast outline.
It feels great to see the progress, right? And it keeps you motivated to keep going.
Another tip is to start small. Don't try to build massive habits overnight. The key is consistency. Even if you only work on something for 10 minutes a day, it's still progress.
Exactly. The more consistent you are, the stronger your discipline becomes. It's about building the habit of showing up, not the size of the task.
One more habit that's essential is celebrating small wins. Every time you complete a task or stick to your schedule, give yourself a little reward.
It doesn't need to be big. Maybe you treat yourself to a nice cup of coffee or take a short break. This helps you stay positive and motivated.
So, to recap, 1. Create a simple morning routine to start your day with intention. 2. Use time blocking to keep focused on your tasks. 3. Learn to say no to distractions. 4. Track your progress to stay accountable. 5. Start small. Consistency is key. 6. Celebrate your small wins to keep the momentum going.
These habits may seem simple, but together, they can really change the way you approach your day and your goals.
And remember, it's okay to slip up now and then. The key is getting back on track. Self-discipline isn't about perfection. It's about persistence.
Exactly. And for all of you English learners out there, these habits can help you stay disciplined with your language goals too, whether it's practicing daily, watching English videos, or speaking with a partner. Make it a routine.
Now, let's take a quick break, and then we'll get into some personal stories of how these habits have worked for us. Okay, now we've covered the general habits that can help anyone build self-discipline. But let's zoom in and talk about how to apply those habits specifically for learning English.
Great idea. Building self-discipline in language learning is key if you want to make real progress. So, let's dive into some tips.
First tip, set clear, small goals for your English learning. Instead of saying, I want to speak perfect English, try something more specific, like, I'll learn 10 new words every day, or I'll listen to one podcast episode in English each morning.
That's so important. Small, measurable goals help you stay on track and make the process less overwhelming. Plus, when you accomplish these small goals, it keeps you motivated.
Absolutely. Another tip is to create a daily study routine, just like we talked about earlier. Even if it's just 10 to 20 minutes a day, make it a habit.
And consistency is key here. It's better to practice a little bit every day than to study for hours one day and then skip a week. Small daily actions add up over time.
I agree. And here's a great tip for English learners. Use language immersion in your daily life. Surround yourself with English as much as possible.
Yes, you don't need to move to an English-speaking country to do this. Listen to English music, watch English TV shows or movies with subtitles, or even change your phone language to English. The more you hear and see English, the more it becomes part of your life.
Exactly. Another key tip is to find a study partner or community. This could be a friend, a language partner, or even an online group. When you have someone to share your progress with, you're more likely to stay disciplined.
That's so true. Accountability can make a huge difference. If you know you're going to speak English with someone, you'll be more motivated to practice regularly.
And don't forget to track your progress. Whether it's keeping a journal of new words you've learned or recording yourself speaking, seeing your improvement will keep you motivated.
I love that. Even if it's small progress, celebrating those wins makes you feel like you're moving forward, and that's key to staying disciplined.
So, to sum up the tips for English learners. 1. Set small, clear goals for your language learning. 2. Build a daily routine and practice consistently. 3. Immerse yourself in English as much as possible. 4. Find a study partner or community for accountability. 5. Track your progress and celebrate small wins.
These habits will not only help you become more disciplined in your English learning, but they'll also make the process feel more rewarding. The more disciplined you are, the more progress you'll see.
And remember, self-discipline doesn't mean perfection. There will be days when you miss a study session or feel unmotivated. But the key is to get back on track and keep going.
Exactly. Keep showing up, and over time you'll build momentum and see amazing results.
All right, Sarah, let's switch things up for a moment. We've covered a lot of ground today, but I thought it might be fun to answer some questions that we've received from our listeners. You ready?
Absolutely. I love hearing from listeners. What do we have for today?
Okay. The first question is from Emily, who asks, how do I stay disciplined when I don't feel motivated? Some days, I just don't want to do anything.
Great question, Emily. I think the key here is understanding that self-discipline isn't about motivation. It's about commitment. Some days you won't feel like doing the work, and that's normal.
Exactly. Motivation comes and goes, but self-discipline is about showing up even when you don't feel like it. I'd recommend starting with small, easy tasks on days like this. Even doing just 10 minutes can create momentum.
Yes, and I love this idea from James Clear, the author of Atomic Habits. He says, the goal is not to become perfect. It's to be better than you were yesterday. So even if you do a little, you're still improving.
Great point. All right, next question comes from John. I find it hard to stay disciplined when I don't see quick results. How can I stay motivated when progress feels slow?
Yes, this is a common challenge. The key here is patience. Success doesn't happen overnight, but every small effort counts. It's like planting a tree at first. You won't see much happening above the ground, but under the surface, the roots are growing stronger.
Love that analogy. Also, celebrate the small wins. Even if your progress feels slow, track how much you've improved each week. You'll be surprised by how far you've come when you look back.
And remember, language learning is a long journey. Some days you might feel like you're not progressing, but keep going. Eventually, it all adds up, and one day you'll be amazed by how much you've learned.
Exactly. All right, next up, this one is from Lisa. I get distracted easily while studying. How can I improve my focus and stay disciplined?
Distractions are tough. The first thing I'd say is to create a dedicated study space somewhere quiet, where you won't be tempted by your phone or TV.
Right. And use techniques like time blocking. Set a timer for focused study time. For example, study for 20 minutes, then take a 5-minute break. It's easier to stay disciplined when you know there's a break coming.
Also, turn off notifications. I know that's hard, but it really works. When you're focused on learning English, you don't need to be checking your messages every few minutes.
Absolutely. One last question from Carlos. What should I do if I fail to stick to my plan for a few days?
Carlos, don't beat yourself up. Everyone has days or even weeks where they fall off track. The key is to get back up and try again. It's about persistence, not perfection.
Yes. Think of it like a marathon, not a sprint. One bad day doesn't undo all your progress. The most important thing is to continue, even if you have to start small again.
Exactly. Be kind to yourself. Mistakes and setbacks are part of the process, and every time you get back on track, you're strengthening your discipline.
Great answers, Sarah. Thanks for chatting through these questions. If you're listening and you have more questions, feel free to send them to us. We'd love to help.
Yes, keep sending your questions. And remember, discipline isn't about being perfect. It's about being consistent and showing up for yourself every day.
Well, here we are, our final segment of today's episode. It's been such an inspiring conversation, Sarah. We've talked about how to build self-discipline for success, especially when it comes to language learning. Any final thoughts?
It's been a great episode, Henry. And yes, I just want to remind everyone that self-discipline isn't about being perfect. It's about making small, consistent choices every day. Even on the tough days, those small efforts will add up in the long run.
That's such an important point. Self-discipline doesn't happen overnight, and it's okay to have setbacks. What matters is your commitment to getting back on track. Progress is built step by step.
Exactly. And whether you're learning English or working toward any other goal, remember, you're in control. Your daily habits shape your future, and with self-discipline, you can accomplish anything.
To wrap it up, here are today's key takeaways for building self-discipline. 1. Start with small, clear goals. This helps you stay focused. 2. Create routines and stick to them. Consistency is key. 3. Track your progress and celebrate the small wins along the way. 4. Be patient. Discipline is built over time, and results come gradually. 5. Don't be afraid to fail, just get back on track and keep moving forward.
And for all our English learners out there, remember, learning a new language takes time and effort. But the more disciplined you are, the more progress you'll see. Keep practicing every day, and you'll get there.
Well said, Sarah. Thank you all for listening to today's episode of Personnel Growth Talks podcast. We hope you've got some useful tips and inspiration to apply in your own journey to success.
We're cheering for you. Stay disciplined, stay motivated, and remember, it's all about those small steps.
We'll see you next time. Until then, keep growing and stay focused. And that's a wrap for today's episode of the Personnel Growth Talks podcast. We hope you've found some valuable insights to help you build self-discipline on your path to success.
Before we go, we'd love for you to connect with us. If you enjoyed this episode, don't forget to subscribe to our podcast so you never miss an episode. And if you found today's content helpful, please leave us a review. It really helps us reach more listeners like you.
Also, feel free to reach out to us on social media. You can find us on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. We love hearing from you and would love to know what you're working on and how we can help you stay motivated.
Yes, and if you have any questions or topic ideas for future episodes, drop us a message. We'd love to hear from you.
Thanks for tuning in, and remember, stay disciplined, stay focused, and keep growing. We'll catch you in the next episode.
Take care, everyone. See you next time.